Welcome, college basketball fans, to the Full Court Press Podcast with LT and Sammy D. This is the podcast that brings you legendary stories from college basketball's golden era and dives in deep with a current analysis of today's game. Get ready for the most energetic and entertaining college basketball podcast around. Let's get it.
Hello and welcome to another Full Court Press Podcast, a college basketball experience. Sam, we've got a regular show today.
I know. After 30 we're at 29 conference previews. We got a couple more the next week and a half here, but it's good to talk about one specific program. You know,
yes.
And this one's pretty special too.
Yes, This show is brought to you by Bill Barron's. Just throw a name in the past. Oh, you see, you're laughing at me. I know a little bit about Loyola Ramblers. Bill Barron's was my SID at University of Illinois Chicago when I was an athlete. So we've got some comment in, but I'm really excited to have this coach because I want to know when we used to play against Loyola in the late 90s, they had 3 priests at the top of the rafters and they were loud. They would heckle. Are they still there?
Maybe somebody might have to cross check. We've nowadays when you go into Gentile, man, it's so packed that you can't just look up in the crowd. So everybody blends in there, to be honest with you, other than my family.
Yes. So we got the legendary Shoe Man, and we've got someone that's got a competition that you're playing against that thinks they have a better shoe game than you. See, Coach, I even brought one of my shoes.
Okay. Got one of my shoes. Got the Forces.
Yeah, I got the Forces. We got True Valentine from the Loyola Ramblers. Welcome to the Full Court Press.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. It's awesome.
Yeah, thanks. So, Sam, you want to ask him a question? Because I've already asked about priests. I've talked about pink Air Force Ones. Sam, tell him about the Air Force Ones, what I did to Danny Green. He's still embarrassed by this, Sam.
I don't even know, man. You can tell that story, man. But you got a nice little shoe game. It's like a poor man's shoe game, LT. It's but it's you try hard. But Coach Valentine, it's great to have you. It's great to have you on the podcast.
Who said they're better?
We'll get this.
Right.
We've got the first ever Full Court Press class.
We challenged him. You play this team in December, so we'll get to that question in a little bit. And he said he's going to show up with a really strong shoe game. But let's talk a little Loyola Ramblers here. I mean, you've got you have an interesting team, coming back, and then you hit the transfer portal. You hit high school a little bit as well. More than other programs. I mean, you're 15-3 in 2024. I mean, you guys really came out strong the second half of the season last year. How's the team coming together this fall?
Yeah, I mean, I think, boring coach speak, but just, I was talking to my staff about it earlier today, just with the times that we're in nowadays. I mean, we've got 5 guys that are returning from a championship team. Like you said, last year, they're 15-3. And so they know what it takes, but you've got 8 newcomers that are still trying to figure out what it takes, not only to win, but to win big, because this group has dreams and aspirations of not only competing in our conference, but beyond that. And so how do you win big? What does it take to win big? What are the habits? What are the standards? What are the things you got to do to put yourself in position? And obviously health dictates. Boring coach speak. Sorry to give you guys that. You guys are entertaining, so sorry to give you a boring answer. How healthy can we continue to be? I mean, we've been fairly healthy so far this fall. Can we continue that? And I've talked a lot about this summer and this preseason about this concept of race to maturity. And that's what this year is about. Every year we kind of come with a theme. It started with Coach Moser. Was when I was an assistant, kind of what we're focusing on the year. And this group is just trying to grow together, both whether it's leadership, whether it's the freshmen figuring out how to play, whether it's the newcomers figuring out how we do it here, just on this race to maturity. How quickly can we get to a point where we feel like we're we've got to figure out what it takes to win. So that's where we're at. But I love this group's competitiveness, and I love the fabric of what this group could be.
Yeah. As you create like an identity year after year, I mean, how much does that carry over with so much movement and rosters each year? I mean, last year, you guys, the identity I saw on the court was amazing. I just love the college basketball. It's how it should be played. You guys share the ball really well. You're number 1 in assists in the A10, number 7 in the country, assists per field goal. And then, your defense was number 1 adjusted efficiency in the A10. So, you guys share the ball well. You guys play good defense. Is that the identity that you're kind of creating this year as well?
Boom, you got it. And that's what it's always been since we've been here. We've always been a high assist team. There's only been 2 guys since I've been here in my 7 years, whether as an assistant or head coach, that have averaged over 13 points a game. And we've still found a way to be successful. So that's just a real culture. And so that's what we want to have. We want to have guys that fit that culture, that are skilled and have the ability to dribble, pass, and shoot. And that creates that ability to play that style of play where you're sharing the ball. And then defensively, we want to be big, physical, athletic. I think we really recruited to that style of play. So that's what's been our identity. It'll continue to be our identity, and one that's proven that can be really successful here.
Yeah. And I really like your recruiting class. You've got some great returners. Des Washington coming back. Miles Rubin, 6'10" from Simeon. I didn't realize anybody above 6'5" was good at Simeon. No offense. That's a note to my guy, Bryant Notary.
What about Jabari Parker, man? Come on.
All right.
Well, okay. One person. But no, if you look at the team, you've got some great players. And I like the newcomers. You've gone foreign, which, how much emphasis do you put on kind of foreign recruiting, especially now with NIL and the transfer portal? Plus, I also want to say Coach Spikers gives his regards from Drexel, because I love Justin Moore. That's a great pickup.
Appreciate it. I think the emphasis is always going to be on kind of just a mix of both for us, whether it's through the high school ranks or international, guys that are first-year guys, or, whether through transfer portal. I want to have a combination of both on our roster. But the international piece is something that, I think everybody in the country is dipping into it now. And I think in our league, the Atlantic 10, there's been so many, we added into our recruiting presentations about how many guys have been successful in this league. I think the locations, I think, the style of play, I think, kind of the level of league that it's at. I think it's a basketball-centric league that are, in big media markets and, places that have large international, bases of people. And so I think when those people that are not from the United States, when they're trying to find a home, I think that they can feel at home, because cities like Chicago are melting pots, and you guys know that. And so our campus is a melting pot. There's so much diversity within our campus, and there's so many regular international students just in our school. So it's been really successful in this league. It's been really successful across college basketball. And so, we all copy each other around the country. So I guess I'm hopping on the bandwagon.
Yeah. Yeah. And you had such great success last year. How difficult was it to put together a non-conference schedule? The A10's high major. You've got a nice schedule, though, a really nice, high major, mid-major schedule at Princeton. Princeton's, good. Versus South Florida, Coach Amir. Then the full court press sneaker game challenge against San Francisco. Get ready for Coach G, baby. He is going to bring it. I was talking to him last night. He is going to bring it. He's bringing his whole wardrobe. Okay. And then my favorite game is you're playing Coach Campy, your former coach, in Hawaii.
Love Coach Campy, man.
I can't picture Coach Campy in Hawaii. There's not enough streets to kind of walk around.
Yeah, I think we always try to, whether the names pop or not, to some people from the outside, we always try to put ourselves in position to, if our roster is good enough, and if our team comes together on this race to maturity that we're on, to be a postseason team. And I think that our schedule will allow us to do that with the competitive games that we have. Obviously, it's certain Power 4 or 5, whatever you want to call it, schools, like it's damn near impossible for us to get out like a home game or a home and home. I think we've done that in the past, but it was extremely, extremely hard for us. And even the neutral sites, like the people that put together those neutral site games, trying to get somebody to agree to play with us on a neutral site, it's really, really hard to do. So that's why we had to get creative and, are challenging ourselves with going on the road, like you said, to Princeton and like a neutral site game with San Francisco.
Yeah, it's crazy because when I was at UIC, we played Michigan State, came to the Pavilion. Illinois came to the Pavilion. We actually beat Michigan State. I think it was the year after they won the national championship. They came to Chicago to play. You don't see that nowadays. You just don't see those type of opportunities. I mean, DePaul a couple years ago came and played Cleveland State. You're never going to see that now.
Yeah, no, it's just it's not happening, and it's unfortunate, but I do think that regardless of what the names might be on the schedule of the conferences that the schools that we're playing, I do think that we're playing some of the best teams in the country. And obviously, we're going to get some tests early with some home games, but going to get tested early with that road trip we've got to New Jersey to play that Princeton team that's really loaded.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, talk a little bit about your roster this year and some of the leadership that you're seeing in the fall. I mean, you got Des Watson coming back, who is 12 points per game, 5 rebounds. I'm really excited about Miles Rubin. I mean, it's the guy is he should be getting national attention.
Yes.
And I'm sure his phone was ringing last year and through the summer and stuff. So I don't know what those conversations
allegedly,
were like.
Slam, allegedly.
I don't know, man. It's like, we interview a lot of coaches, and I know there's a lot of coaches who would love a guy like Miles Rubin, with the stats he was putting up. So talk a little about that leadership with some of the guys who came back.
Yeah, I think, the 3 guys from a leadership perspective that we're leaning on are Des Watson. He was, even last year with Braden Norris and Phil Austin, Tom Welch, those guys that we had that were in the program for multiple years. Des was our emotional leader last year, and so we're going to need that from him. He's a guy that wants the moment, wants to be good, and but at the end of the day, he wants to win more than he wants to have individual success, and so we're leaning on him for that. And then the other 2 guys that are stepping into leadership roles are Sheldon Edwards and Jalen Quinn, and I think Sheldon Edwards, he had some huge games last year. He had a road trip last year where we played in D.C., where we played at George Mason and at George Washington on a Wednesday and a Saturday. And Sheldon, I think he went for 27 and 19 in those 2 games and should have been A-10 player of the week. But he's been fantastic. He's grown so much since he's been here. His first year, we were butting heads, about shot selection and defense and, what it took to be great here. And now he's the first guy when things are getting out of whack in practice that's stepping up and letting, the newcomers know how we do things here and why we're successful. So those are the 3 guys. And, you mentioned Miles and he's grown so much. I mean, last year, our first game of the year, when we played FAU and we're going up against, that team and Vlad Golden and, he's just trying to stay afloat and just how he's grown in the past year has been incredible. And he turned into obviously the #1 rim protector last year in the country. And I think he's improved his offensive skill level so much. You're going to see a lot of improvement with his passing, his ball handling, and his perimeter skills on top of growing as a post scorer. So really excited about Miles' growth and what he'll be able to showcase for us this year.
Yeah. So the preseason rankings came out, which doesn't mean anything. It's just, I guess, for the social media lovers that want to post something. But I find it interesting because last year, Mountain West Conference, there's 3 high major conferences in basketball. There's the American, there's the A10, and there's the Mountain West. Last year, they took the NCAA tournament by storm by getting all those bids. And I'm looking at the A10. I feel like they can duplicate that this year. If you look at Virginia Commonwealth, Dayton, St. Joe's, St. Louis, yourselves, even Duquesne, who had a nice little run at the end and won the tournament championship. Do you think that's possible this year with how good the conference is going to be, especially knowing how many great players came back and how many great players are coming in for the first time?
Yeah, the league it's unbelievable with how much talent is in this league. Obviously, you can see the Missouri Valley trophies behind me.
I see them.
And when we entered the league 2 years ago, I was just amazed at like we'd be getting ready for the next team, and my coaches would bring in the personnel or the scouting reports the next game, and I'd be like, man, these this player, it's unbelievable. And this year, I mean, the players that are, like you said, coming back and coming into the league, the freshmen that are coming into this league, I mean, we've got a real chance to do some great things as a league this year. And I think a lot of people have really good non-conference schedules that are going to set the league up if we can have really good Novembers and Decembers. Yep. And so we're focused on, doing our part, but also we're going to be supporting our brothers in the league and the other coaches in the league, and wishing that and hoping and watching and having their backs, and knowing that, okay, if because sometimes in the preseason schedule and the non-conference schedule in November, December, you're like, this team, I'm like, man, I don't care. I want our league to be incredible and for everybody to be healthy and play well. And then when we get to league, we can beat each other up. But let's have a great November and December. And I think, the team's scheduled good enough to do that. I mean, what Dayton was able to do with their schedule is insane. VCU, St. Louis, St. Joe's, what they were able to do with their schedule. So I'm really, really excited about what could happen, this non-conference for our league.
Yeah, we talked to Coach Martelli yesterday, and I feel like we're still talking to him telepathically.
Sorry, my lights went out in my office.
No, you're fine. You're fine. A lot of things went out yesterday, but anyway, here nor there. So it's amazing, though, when you look at college basketball in your conference in general, it's like 11 to 12 weeks of just a bloodbath. I mean, anybody can beat anybody, and it was proven. Not knocking Duquesne. I mean, that's my guys from Akron, but it's amazing. I don't think people really don't understand how good the A-10 is when it comes to conference time. I mean, you look at St. Bonaventure, LaSalle, Richmond. I mean, you can go down the list. It's like the non-conference schedule means something because you're just preparing. But I think a lot of people, some teams might not have the greatest non-conference schedule, but they get to conference, they're like, oh, that conference is not very good. But that is so far from the point with the A-10.
Yes. I mean, like I kind of talked about, man, like the when you get into those games and I mean, you'll see it on KenPom, right? Like, how close the win margin was on with every conference. And, it's not within every league, it's 5 to 6 points are the point differentials. Nobody's just blowing people out in league. And, that's what I think what was so amazing about what we were able to do last year was the way that we were able to do it. The close games that we were able to win, and then to only have 3 conference losses in the league that finished, the number 7-8 league in the country last year. And I think that spoke to our culture. I think that spoke to the quality of the players that we had. And I think it spoke to the togetherness that we had to fight through adversity and just find different ways to win every single night. And that's what coaches are all preaching right now is, obviously we want to be good to start because we know we want to be a postseason team. Our league is a multi-bid league. That's one of the best, like you said, best couple leagues in the country. And so I think we're all trying to get to the point where and test ourselves in the non-con to the point that when we get in conference play, we what it takes to win, but also how to not lose as much. And so that's what, that's what that prepares you for. But I mean, there's battles. I mean, in the venues, right? Like people's home court advantages in the A-10. People care about basketball in this league. I mean, it is a basketball-centric league. Our it starts with our commissioner. She understands. Bernie McGlade understands what basketball can do for institutions in a conference, and the different environments. I mean, the improvement in the environments and how hard it is to go on the road and the travel, and it's just it's fun to be a part of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all I heard, Sam, was he's in favor of conference or NCAA tournament expansion.
Hey, if more A-10 teams get in, let's do it.
Yeah, well, it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, it is. What do you think the final number will be?
I mean, final, like what, 40 years from now, or like in the next?
If I'm still talking 40 years from now,
next 2 or 3 years.
I'd say, 76 seems like it's what it's going to be.
You think so? You don't think he'll get into the 90s?
I think it's more likely to be like something small first, and then within the next 10 years, though, I think it'll be in the 90s. Okay. But initially, I think, kind of like how college football went from, 2 to 4, and it was like a smaller jump, and then it jumped up to 12. Like, I think eventually it'll get into the 90s, but probably to start, it'll be probably, somewhere like 6 to 10 teams.
Yeah, so that means all of the either Big Ten or the SEC will be in the tournament. I'm not trying to start anything. I said it. I said
the expansion, though. I mean, you did say it, and it's like, I mean, you've got guys in the ACC telling us that they should get 14 teams in the tournament.
No, that was the SEC. Next year, they want 16. They're going to let Texas and Oklahoma sit out for a year.
Yeah, but it's like, I mean, it's an embarrassment that like so many teams denied the NIT stuff last year. So they're gonna be forced to do something, in the next year or two here.
And I mean, like honestly, like the NIT is like we played Bradley last year in the NIT. You guys,
that was a good game. Yep,
they're going to be ridiculous. You want to talk about like a culture. I mean, they've been good the entire time that I've been here at Loyola, and Coach Wardle is. I mean, he's got to be one of the most underrated basketball coaches in the country. They're good year after year. I mean,
he went to Marquette. That's why, Coach. He went to Marquette.
Malevy Leon's got a 2-way contract with OKC. I mean, like they're rolling, and but like getting the opportunity to play that game was a big time game for us, and it was a big time opportunity for us to celebrate a championship season. Yep. I mean, why would we go 15-3 in the Atlantic 10? And because we had injuries and because our team was new and growing in the non-con, but by the time we figured it out, like that team deserved to play in the postseason. So I don't know why teams, have good seasons and won't want to honor their team by playing in the postseason. I mean, college basketball is, it's the only opportunity. These guys don't understand. I mean, my brother's been a pro, and I've had coached a ton of different pros for years, and you don't get the camaraderie and the same amount of pride that you get when you go and play pro as you do when you're in college. So the more and more opportunities you get to take advantage of this, like why would you not go ahead and do that? And so I think teams are absolutely foolish if they don't decide to play postseason if they have the opportunity to.
Well, it's funny because you have college football teams that go 6-5 and they accept a bid to the Pineapple Bowl.
For sure,
like celebrating mediocrity. I mean, let's go.
Yeah. But some of those people, some of those teams might be mediocrity, but some of those it might be, the first year or second year, or maybe that team got from a smaller division, and maybe it's a MAC school that got torn up by the transfer portal, and then their coaches found a way to win 6 games and celebrate success. So I think if you have the opportunity to be a postseason team, it needs to be celebrated.
The thing is that and no disrespect in that comment, I guess what I mean is how like almost 1/3 or 2/3 of all college football teams, it seems like, goes to a bowl game, but in the NCAA tournament, you can win your conference and you don't even have an automatic bid to the NIT, which is just below the NCAA. So hopefully there's some parameters. I know we were pressing Phil Martelli, who's now in the NIT ward. We're asking, he's like, well, I've got my first meeting in 2 days. Well, I'm like, okay, well, you're not going to help us here, Coach.
But one of the big problems with that was the transfer portal opened up before postseason play. Right. So it's like there's a lot of coaches who are like, I don't know if I want to keep coaching half my team that may leave. And then I need to start recruiting some of these other guys who are putting their names in. So there's a lot of different changes that need to be made. But yeah, I mean, it's the greatest 6 to 8 weeks of the year for us. And we think college basketball is the greatest game in the world for exactly what you said earlier, Coach Valentine. So it's like, let's celebrate these guys. I mean, if they want to play at the end of the season, they're competitors, right? Yeah. And, it doesn't mean if you go 15-3 or you're 500 in your conference, like, I mean, you want to play till the last day you can.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
All right.
So you think it's ready, LT?
Yeah, let's
do it. Yeah. So we do a little thing called the shot clock, Coach. LT is going to fire off 5 or 6 questions, some pretty easy, quick little one hitters, and some of them might be one word answers. Some of them might lead to a short story. Some of them might be a little fun trivia. Who knows?
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know what Luke has in his bag today.
Okay.
Okay. One word to describe Coach Campy.
Passionate.
Okay. He's not as animated when you played for him, huh?
Nah, he is who he is. You know, he hasn't.
Yeah.
I think that's why people like him so much is you know, he kind of just, what you see is what you get. I mean, he's going to wear his emotions on the sleeve. He's not a coach speak guy for sure. And he believes in what he believes in. And, you know, all you can do is respect that, but definitely passionate about what he believes in and how he does it and why he does it.
All right. I'm going to hit you a little harder because this is your hometown. One word to describe Coach Izzo.
My GOAT.
Yeah. That's 2 words, but that's cool.
You know, loyal, sets the tone, sets the standard, is in it for all the right reasons. And that's why everybody always goes back, and that's why that place is the family and why it's had such sustained success. And he's changed so many lives, my life, my brother's life, my family's life. Like, I mean, I wouldn't be living the way that I'm living without him. So, over the top appreciative for him.
Yeah. And the thing for me is I grew up, I'm still a Michigan fan. My wife went to Michigan, though I live in Ohio. Don't laugh at me. But I will tell you, it will be a sad day when Coach Izzo is not on the sidelines.
For sure.
And that's just a respect from, and I think a lot of people will say it looked really, you know, it's like when Coach K retired, it was really weird. I think it's going to be, even because I'm in the Midwest, as are you, and Sam has Chicago roots, Kansas City roots. It's going to be weird when Coach Izzo is not on that sideline from Michigan State. It's going to be really strange.
Yeah,
So on that note, one word to describe the A10 conference.
Talented.
Okay.
I mean, like I talked about earlier, man, it's whether it's the coaching, whether it's the players, the people that run it. I mean, there's so many talented people here.
Yep, I believe it. All right. Top 3 coaches, in your opinion, who have some of the best top-notch sneaker game.
Whew. So let's do Mount Rushmore of college basketball sneaker games. So you're up there, and then who are your other 3?
Todd Golden.
Ooh.
Let's go. I mean, I'll say Kim English.
Okay.
Yep. Sam loves that one. Yeah.
Love Coach English.
Trying to think who actually, because a lot of, you know, Coach Moser would say that him, but it's like, dude, he's at a Jordan school, so he gets them. But I'm trying to think who brings the sauce. I'm trying to think.
You got to work it.
Oh, Jordan Mincy.
Oh yeah, from Jacksonville.
Yeah. Jordan Mincy, that's my dog. So I'm going Todd Golden, Jordan Mincy, and Kim English.
Okay. It's funny, Coach Gerlifson, who you're playing against, South Florida, actually was an assistant under Coach Golden. So maybe the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. All right.
It is pretty funny, though, because it's like, I mean, 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago, I mean, it was always like, okay, which coach suited up the best, right? Mm-hmm. With like, you know, $10,000 suits and custom tailored and all that. Now I feel like it's like this new guard of coaches, like you included, you leading and pioneering the way with like, okay, let's not look at the sport coat, let's look down at the feet. Let's see how ready they are.
My first year, we came strong. Battle for Atlantis. We all, you know, that was one of the things that I wanted to make sure we had tight, man. When we take a lot of pride in it over here.
Yeah.
I hear you. Do you have a favorite pair of shoes in your collection?
Yeah, I like the Travis Scott Fragment Lows.
Oh, okay.
The white blue, like the not like the off-white blue, black, whatever they are. Those are the frags. I love those. Or the first pair of Travis's that came out with the pink laces, the black with the brown. Those are really
those are smooth.
Okay. Didn't realize this is a shoe podcast now. Most animated coach on the sidelines in the A10.
Frank Martin.
Yeah, that's an easy one. That's an easy one.
I love Frank though. Like,
yeah, Frank could be in the MAC. That's gonna be weird.
Frank is totally misunderstood. Probably, like, I think Frank's players love playing for him, and I think Frank is not only passionate and a good recruiter, but he's a dang good basketball coach.
Absolutely.
Like Frank, I have the utmost respect for Frank. Yeah, I give him a hug every time I see him, man. I love Frank Martin.
Dude, Frank Martin was a bouncer. He's been like stabbed. He's battled cancer. I mean, the guy, we've had him on the show, and I mean, we love him. I mean, he is what is great in college basketball still.
He is such a good guy, and it's like, he definitely, to your point, Coach Valentine, misunderstood, from the general public, because it's like you don't know what you're getting because all you see is highlights or him on the sideline going crazy or whatever. But it was like when we had him on a show, like I was like, as a parent, how would you not want your kids to play for that guy?
Correct. He's awesome. I love Frank.
Yeah, that's why you're sending him to the MAC. I see how it is, Coach. So, funniest recruiting story, either as a player or as a coach. We've heard it all, from going to the wrong city, like Charleston. Bit by dogs. We've heard of that from someone.
I mean, okay, so we had one last summer where there was a bunch of bloody towels in a hotel room on entrance.
Okay.
But like, so we go in and we, this is when you could, and you still can obviously pre-decorate the rooms and all that. And so my Dobo and managers made sure everything was set. And then I got a call from the parent of the kid, and they said there was a bunch of bloody towels in there. And I was like, oh my God. And then we got him out of the hotel immediately and put him at a new one. I was like, I mean, I don't know if that's funny. That was just the first one that came out.
I'm a little bit creeped out.
That's an interesting story. That's for sure.
Yeah. Like, how did that get in there? And like, the room was still decorated. I'm like,
jeez. Did you get the kid?
No.
Okay.
That outbid.
Yeah.
Outbid. Okay. Yeah.
No, that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
So, if you were a candle scent, what scent would you be?
I mean, the boring one would be lavender, maybe, but like, I love like the pumpkin spice, man. It's the fall.
You like this season, yeah. You're a seasonal guy.
I'm into that right now. Love little, pumpkin pie Thanksgiving. It's a fall time, man. Like,
it's whenever you start seeing a bunch of pumpkin spice promos pop up, college basketball season's right around the corner.
Yeah.
Ask Coach Amir when you play South Florida what scent he would be.
Oh man.
Gunpowder.
I
mean, he is from Atlanta.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We've heard it all though. It's a lot of Texas coaches go for the vanilla bourbon. We've heard that a couple times, but
eucalyptus mints with Coach McNamara.
Jerry McNamara.
We've had some weird ones. All right, this is a recruiting stat and a question. All right, what percentage of males to females are at Loyola?
68% female, and I know that.
It's actually 69% female and 31% male, according to U.S. News 2022.
Yep. But that's a pretty good one, huh?
You're a good coach. You're a good coach, because I coached him at DePaul, and that's what I'd say. When it was DePaul Marquette, I would tell him, go and see what their student ratio is, girl to guy, and every time I think we were 20% higher at the time.
So you got that here, and you got no football. So you've
Yeah, and you also have Hamilton's where you can dance in a foot of a beer on the ground.
Is Hamilton still on the north side?
Yeah, Hamilton.
I believe so. Yeah.
I went there like 25 years ago.
Yeah.
All right, last question. What is the song that best describes you? What's your anthem?
I'm trying to think about what Drake song I want to pick. I would say let's go. It's two of them. It's either Do Not Disturb by Drake or Pound Cake, Paris Morton Music 2 off of Nothing Was the Same, the last one. And the last verse, Paris Morton music too. Those are my 2 songs I listen to in my headphones before
you walk out onto the court.
Not before we walk on the court, but
okay.
when we're, if we're on the bus on a road game, those are my last 2 songs.
Yeah. What do you think Coach Hurley's listening to when he puts his earphones on?
Doesn't he love like Billy Joel?
So I asked him what
you
song.
You asked his wife first.
I asked his wife, and she said, "What was it? Whitney Houston, One Moment in Time."
Yeah.
So I asked him at the Final Four, and he's like, "I do. After a win or a loss, I lie on the ground and I listen to One Moment in Time." And everybody's like, "Okay."
But you got to have your thing, man.
He's got to decompress.
Yeah, he's a great dude.
Yeah. Nah, it's all good. Well, Coach Valentine, we appreciate having us. We appreciate joining us on the Full Court Press podcast. Great episode. I'm going to turn it over to you the last minute of this episode. If there's anything you want to share to the Rambler fans, alumni, boosters, city of Chicago, like what are you guys expecting at the Joe? And anything you want to share? Platform yours.
Yeah, and I appreciate you putting me on the spot. Jeez. No, but it's we're excited about the year. I mean, we're trying to continue to keep building and just know that we're doing everything we can to internally to make sure that we're making you guys proud. We're representing us not only obviously out on the floor, but in the community and in the classroom. I mean, we're last year 3.31 GPA, baby, highest ever. So
wait, how does that factor in with transfers?
Yeah, I mean, everybody.
I'm just being honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, we got to take guys that are bought into the way that you do things here, and so gonna do everything we can to continue that. And then I'm expecting some insane crowds. Gentile, we were playing a ton of home games in November and December, and so let's come out and support this group through the good, through the bad, through the adversity. And continue to make Gentile one of the best arenas in college basketball. But can't wait to get out there, and I know our guys can't wait either. And we got a good team that I know you guys are going to love watching this year.
All right, A10 prediction. How many teams?
5.
Love it.
Aggressive.
Yes.
Love it. Yeah, that's how you do it. But Coach, you're going to stick with us one more second as we upload. But hey, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. This is going to be hard for me to say. Go check out the Loyola Ramblers in the Atlantic 10 with Coach Valentine. I am going to be cheering for you, believe it or not. It's very difficult for me as a UIC graduate in the Midwestern Collegiate Conference, but I will be cheering for you. You guys have a great team, great program, great leadership. Kayla was wonderful also. But don't forget to subscribe, rate, review, and check out College Basketball Weekly. And we'll be back next time on the Full Court Press Podcast, a college basketball experience.